Okay, welcome to the live stream, and I'm just wanting to go on ahead and dive in and talk about my weight this morning and just a couple other things. Um, the skies are kind of milky, and the wind is very high, very, very fast today. So you're going to be hearing the wind chimes quite a bit. And yesterday I weighed in at 222.8. This morning I weighed in at 221.6. Now yesterday I had ate right. I moved a little bit, and so I know that really made a big difference in my weight. And I had started, hopefully I'm going to keep up with it because I did it again last night. Just going on ahead and making a meal plan for the next day, writing down a menu. And I was meaning to bring up my paper because I had written some reasons and things to remind me why I am wanting to lose this weight. So we'll go with that first. Why do I want to lose the weight? Okay, yeah, my hair is parted the right way. I sprayed it with pepper spray, but the wind is kind of tossing it all over the place. Anyway, um, the reason why I want to lose weight is to, well, let me just go get my little book, okay? It's hang tight. Maybe. Oh, my cat is lying on his back, so cute. Anyway, maybe the animals are entertaining. I'll be right back. As you can see, they've got a dog door there, and even the cat uses it. It's convenient. I don't have to worry about getting out in the cold when they need out. Okay, so I had written, like, here, my reasons and how. Reasons for weight loss. Number 1, health. Number 2, less pain in joints. Number 3, more energy. Number 4, better self-esteem. Number 5, be able to wear my better clothes. Number 6, be able to stay more active. And then I had added as an afterthought, have rest. Because I do need to have more rest. Like 3 nights in a row, I've gone to bed after 1 o'clock. But now last night, I was ready to go to bed shortly after 9, but I had to put my conclusion video together and get it uploading. And I was trying to wait for it to finish uploading so that I could post my change of channel video on my other channel, but it didn't upload fast enough. So I went on to bed, and it was about 20 after 1 or so. 3 nights in a row. What I want to do to achieve this, what I should have put was what I need to do to achieve this. Number 1, take care of God's temple. I want to take care of God's temple because my body is a living temple of the Holy Spirit. And as a Christian, and it being thus, I am responsible on how well I take care of this body. Not to mention I have to live with it every day. So I am responsible for that. And then in parentheses I put how. A, smaller portions. B, more wholesome. C, more balanced. And D, eat only when hungry. This is all with the meals. Smaller portion meals, more wholesome meals, more balanced meals, eat only when hungry. 2, be more active. Once again, the question, how? A, walk daily at least 10,000 steps. B, strength train daily. C, all other optional activity. So, I really wanted, more or less, I guess you could say I was prioritizing things instead of being all over the place and it being all about vanity or whatnot. I really just wanted it to be more organized and prioritized for me to really understand the reason why and how it really works for me. And plus, I don't know, it could have been the Holy Spirit letting me know, but for some reason I felt like if I wrote this down, it would help me even more to attain my goal. So I just wrote it down. And here's yesterday's meal menu. And here's today's. So, I'm trying to prioritize more instead of being up and down, inside out, undecisive, and all that other stuff. I am really trying to be more organized about this. That way, I really am more on my game, if you will. And I think every time that I attempt something like this, it kind of gives me that added um, motivation, I guess you could say, because then I just kind of refreshes me and gets me to continue. Um, and I'm very happy that I have done this and that I am making that focus once again, because I almost started to feel myself slip out once again. like how I've done so many times in the past where I start out strong and then I slowly slip out. And I found myself slowly starting to slip out of doing this by more or less making excuses, using elements as an excuse, and not really being focused. But by writing that down, and even me starting this particular channel just for my weight loss, it kind of got me refocused all over again. And so I guess that's the best thing that I can do, is just every time I start finding myself slipping out, for me to do something else to get myself motivated back in. Even if it means like me watching somebody else who's inspirational to get me on the move once more. So, um, I stopped watching Real Tennyson because he's got a tendency to sometimes, he doesn't necessarily use foul language, but in some ways he kind of adds a little bit of untasteful things in a very subtle way. And I'm not wanting to be exposed to that, because I am a very mature adult and I can pretty well figure out what he's talking about, and I don't need that. But I am wanting to start watching Sally McRae more, because she's also done videos on what she does to prepare for her ultra marathons. So I am going to be tuning in on that today. I'm going to be going back to one of her ultra marathons that she had done that was like 250 miles. And I am going to run in place, as every time it shows her on the trail, I'm going to run in place. That way it kind of makes me feel like I'm on the trail with her. And then when she's at her base camp, getting her feet retaped or eating or sleeping or whatever she may be doing, I'm just going to walk in place, and that will kind of be my rest moment. And I kind of figured that by doing that, because the video is just about an hour, so if I do that, that will be a little bit of a calorie burn. And currently this week I am on a personal made challenge to burn 3,000 calories daily from yesterday, which was Monday, until Friday. It's a 5-day challenge. And yesterday I almost finished out with 2,500 calories burned, and that was including my resting burn. My mockingbird is singing. He has got such beautiful sound. I love his music. And he's always close. He's always close, either in the front yard with me or in the backyard here. He's just so gorgeous. Sounds beautiful, doesn't he? So anyway, I am hoping, because yesterday I didn't do all that much activity, but it helped a little bit. But I know that by me running in place to her videos, that's going to help add the calories that I burn. I hear you, handsome. I hear you. you are so handsome. He's just beautiful. He's so beautiful. His breast shimmers in the sunlight. Anyway, today, with me running in place while watching her video when she does the trail, and then me doing a walk this evening, it might get me even closer to the 3,000 calorie burn. This morning, I done 3 minutes worth of strength training, which included core. It included core exercise, but I only done 3 minutes because I'm only doing 10 count of each for now until I get a little stronger. And according to Fitbit, that was 12 calories burned. So I'm really hoping that I manage to do the 3,000 calorie burn today, and that does include my resting burn. I would have to really do some major mileage on foot to literally burn 3,000 calories without a resting burn. I'm definitely not up for that. But yeah, I'm hoping that what I attempt to do today will land me on the 3,000. And if not, then I will figure something out for tomorrow and see what I can do from there. Callie was chasing something. So that's my plan for today. And hopefully that will work. You know, my good friend, my sister, asked me this morning, what made me come up with a 3,000 calorie burn challenge? Why didn't I do a 25? And, you know, I had answered her and said, that's a good question. And I got thinking about it. The number 2,500 calories didn't even cross my mind. But for some reason, 3,000 did. And I answered her a second reply, telling her that it could be that God's wanting me to move more. And by having a goal of 3,000 calories, that would make me move more. But while I was in the shower, I had also thought, like, first off, when I had really started trying once again to lose the weight, not just before I had tried to do the 50,000 steps, but before that, I had cried out to God to help me with my eating. And so it seems like since then, I have been feeling Him motivate me, giving me little nudges, giving me little ideas. And, you know, I'm basically going with the flow. And like I said, 3,000 calories, because I didn't watch that. I didn't see Real Tennyson say that he was going to burn 3,000 calories. I didn't. It was just something that I felt to try. And I was thinking, the Lord knows my body, and He knows what it would take to give my metabolism that extra boost so that I'd be able to burn the calories even more efficiently. And it could very well be I'd hate for this tripod to turn over on this, which it's pretty sturdy right there. It could very well be that by me trying to hit a 3,000 calorie burn, that would be the boost that my body is needing. So I'm just going to go with it, and I'm going to keep adding activity that will add to that burn. Now, I don't know if Jim's noticed, but there is a shade difference here. Like it's still bright out, but it could also be the shift of the sun, and it's not shining in like it was. So it is after 1 o'clock. I had noticed in my older videos, like in 2018, when I was trying to focus on lose weight and I was recording it, I had just started doing YouTube. I was very fresh on doing YouTube. I didn't even have 100 subscribers yet. And I had started talking about how that my ankles were staying swelled. And at that time, I was getting me the 1 liters of the Coca-Cola, and I wasn't drinking it all in one day. It was taking me a few weeks to get it drunk, but nonetheless, I was drinking it. And I never did figure out why that I was swelled. And then, like, I had started losing the weight as I tinkered around with eating and exercise and stuff. And later in the year of 2018 on into 2019, I had really started to lose the weight, but I still had a problem with like my ankles swelling on me sometimes, and me continuing to have like sharp pains in my kidneys. And I was still drinking carbonated drinks, sodas. And, I had never put 2 and 2 together about the swelling in my legs or anything. And even when I had started having the sharp pains, I was blaming it on coffee because I was having coffee as well. Man, there goes every bit of my hair. I'm glad I sprayed it. That way, at least it doesn't look horrible. I'm going to have to rebrush it when I get done with this. Anyway, as I had said, I had continued blaming coffee for the sharp pains, me not urinating very good or urinating very strong or anything, And then, like, I'm pretty sure that I had done the test in 23 because I had thought about how that so many people had said they lost weight just by cutting out the soda. And it didn't matter if they were drinking diet soda or full sugar soda. And so I had tested it because at that time I was running around 223 or something like that back in 2023. And so I was drinking the Monster Javas and sodas, and I'd cut out the soda, but I'd continue drinking the Monster drink because my thought was, well, I'm going to continue having sharp pains in my kidneys for drinking the coffee, but I want to drink the coffee for the medicinal reasons, because coffee, if I drink it daily, keeps me from cramping when my monthly hits. I discovered that years ago, because I hate coffee, and I still don't like coffee. I hate black coffee. I've got to have it creamed and sugared. So, but it's very good medicinal wise. So I didn't want to stop drinking coffee, but the test was all about the soda. So sure enough, when I had stopped drinking the soda, the bloating in my stomach went down. My stomach felt softer instead of hard. The swelling in my ankles and the edema in my hands, because I was walking like every morning, and I would have so much edema in my hands I couldn't clench my fists. So that went away, and in 4 days I had dropped like so many pounds. I'd have to watch the video again, but I had discovered that sure enough, soda was causing me edema and bloating. So, I didn't ever, at the start of 2018, when I had started doing videos on trying to lose weight and stuff, I had no clue that the entire time drinking the sodas was causing the great swelling in my feet, ankles, and legs. And what got me thinking about that was just like late last year, I had decided to sit at my kitchen table to do my abs and my ankles and legs were swelling so bad. And I had remembered what Gwen Shamlin had put in her Ray Down book, that when you sit a lot, that doesn't allow your kidneys to fully filter all the fluids in your body, and therefore edema starts to form. And I was drinking soda again, but not a whole lot. I wasn't drinking a whole lot, but I was drinking some. And I noticed, like when I have bottled soda or canned soda, sure enough, I end up with sharp pains in my right kidney. And if I sit at the kitchen table for a certain amount of the day, and even several days, just sitting at the table, doing whatever all day long, my feet and ankles swell, with or without soda. So I have found that when I am working, because we've got a love sofa that's electric and you can recline it. So I have discovered that while I'm working, as long as I've got my legs up, have them reclined, I don't have that swelling so much. And the other thing that I noticed is as I lose the weight, as I get smaller, the edema gets less and less. But I think what I'm really noticing most of all is if I keep my legs propped when I'm having to sit, because I do have to sit when I do those earnings. I don't have full internet throughout the house, not to mention some of them, like if I attempt to do them while moving, I mess up. So it's best that I'm sitting. So when I'm working, it's good for me to have my legs propped up and for me to not have the soda. Now, fountain soda doesn't seem to affect me the same way. And that could be because it's very seldom that I eat out where I can get fountain drink. But as long as I'm not drinking soda, whoa, pretty good wind. As long as I'm not drinking soda on a regular basis, then I seem to do just fine. No edema, uh, no sharp pains in my kidneys, no decrease in urination. And the great news is coffee doesn't do me like that, so that's great. That is great. That means I can continue drinking coffee products. It doesn't affect me that way. So the best thing for me to do is, because when I start having fluid retention, that really causes me to gain the weight. Even if I didn't gain fat, it's fluid retention. So I've got to keep that in mind to make sure that I am doing things to keep the fluid retention down. And of course, drink more water to dilute any sugars that I'm drinking in my coffees. If I don't drink much water, then I do notice that my urination starts to slow down because I'm not diluting the sugars, but it doesn't have anything to do with the coffee itself. It's the sugars that's in the coffee. That's almost a pretty style. Almost, look at that. Oh, the wind. Like I've said before, count on the Texas wind to make your hair gorgeous when you thought it was already beautiful. Anyway, so yes, that is one thing I have got to keep in mind about drinking my water. I have got two 40-ounce thermos mugs on my end table where I sit when I work, and I keep the both of them full. And I've noticed here in the last few days, I have managed to drink maybe around close to about 50 to 60 ounces of water because I'm having to refill both mugs. I've had to the past few days. So that's good. I'm keeping hydrated, and I'm keeping the sugars diluted in my blood and in my system. And like I said, I stuck to my menu yesterday. I didn't have any candy. I've got candy stored up in the pantry. It's a lot better that way that it is hid in the pantry instead of on the end table where I can so conveniently reach and grab for it. So that was a good thing that I did right there. Making sure that my meals are balanced, uh, good with protein, and that they're filling and satisfying. That makes a big difference for me as well, because then I'm not snacking throughout the day. And you're going to be very tickled with me. In our fruit bowl that we keep on the bar, my housemate has got a bag of Clover Valley sour cream and onion chips lying in the bowl. And I was looking at them. I was looking at them today because I was doing a food review on the Folgers latte drink. And as I was setting it up to get it ready to upload, I kept looking at that bag. I was lying right there beside my tripod. And at first I kind of thought, oh, maybe just a few. But then I quickly erased that and thought, nope, I've got my menu written down. I do not have chips written down as a snack at any point in time on the list. I'm going to stick with the list. And so I didn't bother looking at the bag anymore, and I didn't give the chips another thought. That's a victory right there. That's a victory right there. Because those chips are good. Clover Valley makes awesome barbecue and sour cream and onion chips. They're awesome. But anyway, so yes, I was able to not think anymore about the chips. I didn't give in. I ate exactly what was on the menu for my first meal and nothing more. And I'm very happy about that. And I know that I can do this. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to completely cut treats out. I will allow myself on occasion. And that's the one thing about the treats. And I think this was something else that the Holy Ghost was kind of driving to me, because I had the jelly beans. Yes, I've got jelly beans. So this is the goodies, okay? Between Friday and Sunday, I ended up with jelly beans, M&Ms, a big bar of dark chocolate, Tootsie Roll Pops, and a theater box of gummy Krabby Patties. So I had 2 bags of jelly beans, and I got rid of the one bag, ate it, but I didn't eat all of the second bag. And I ate the theater box of the gummy Krabby Patties. But while I still had the bag of jelly beans and the bag of M&Ms, because I dived into the M&Ms as well, and this was on Saturday, as they was on the end table, I kept feeling the Holy Ghost telling me, put them in a container and put them in the pantry. So finally, before I went to bed, that's exactly what I did. Because normally when I'm fed up with eating junk food and I'm ashamed of myself, I just bundle it up and throw it in the trash. But not this time. And as the Lord was directing me to do this, I had realized that if I didn't eat it all in one sitting, then when I do get a craving for a little bit of candy or for extra sugar, it will be there. And then Sunday morning for Mother's Day, my housemate got me the big bar of dark chocolate, the roll of Tootsie Roll Pops, the bundle that you could get for $1, and the theater box of gummy Krabby Patties. That was for Mother's Day from him. And I immediately felt to put that up in the pantry as well, but I allowed myself to eat the theater box of the gummies. And once again, it came to me that by me having it stored up in the pantry, whenever I've got the taste, I have got it there. And I won't be overindulging because I have got myself a limit of how much I would get of one or the other, but not all of it. And so I like what my sister had told me. She said, there's some foods that I like to eat, but I found that it's easier to put them up. She said that way it's out of sight and out of mind. And that, you know, that is a very cliche saying, but so many times in many ways for different things it is proven true. You forget you've got something when you've got it put up in a closet or a cabinet or whatever. Even like a miscellaneous item, like maybe a coloring book that you used to be involved in or something, could be anything. When you've got it stored up, you forget that you had it until you get digging into your stuff later and you go, I forgot I even had that. I didn't know I had that. So by me putting the candy up in the pantry and even putting other foods around it so that it's literally hid, that way I don't see it every time I get into the pantry, that has actually took it out of my reach and out of my afterthought. Because there's no need for me to indulge on that if I don't even have a taste for it at that moment. There's no need. So it is really honestly working for me to have it stored up. And this also means that when I get a craving, I don't have to walk over to DG and spend money on more than what I've got a taste for. It's a win-win situation altogether. And it really did make a difference because I didn't even think about it even yesterday, even though it was on the list that I could have one or the other, so much amount. It didn't even cross my mind for me to get any. So that is making a big difference also. And for me, that will make a huge difference because junk food used to be my Achilles heel, my nemesis, my go-to for every meal. It is, and it's. Let me tell you about the old me. At around the age that I had gotten married, I was 142, and we were pregnant, and of course, I gained baby weight. And then after I had my daughter, I lost the weight, looked good, wore an Easter dress that was a medium, well fitted. I looked great. Looked great. Sometime during, I had been put on birth control pill, and by the time my daughter was around 2 years old, and it seems like she was even younger than that. She might have actually been closer to a year, but I keep thinking that she was 2. So anywhere, somewhere along that line, the birth control pill had started messing with my libido. So I had asked my gynecologist to switch my birth control pill because I wasn't desiring my husband anymore. So he did. And by the next month, within one whole month, after taking the pill for 1 month, by the second month of taking that pill, I had gained over 20 pounds. I went from weighing around 140 to 160 something in 1 month. It was that fast. Like, it messed with my thyroid. And then by the time my daughter was 3 years old, I didn't like the weight that I'd gained, and I just quit taking the pill. And but it was too late. I had already developed bad eating habits because my appetite was through the roof. Um, I was eating whole mess tacos and Pringles and ice cream and candies, and like I was out of control. And it ended up becoming a really bad habit that just continued throughout the years. And I continued to gain until I was over 200 pounds. And even at one point, by this time, I'd already had 2 children, and my eating habit had gotten so bad that when I would fix dinner, I would have a very large plate full, about the size that a man would have, and then go back and get seconds the same size. And I continued eating like that for years until my mother, she had acquired, sorry, she had acquired the Way Down diet, and she gave it to me. So I read it, and I ended up learning a whole lot through reading that book. And so I had attempted to adapt that way of eating that she had suggested in her book, and that really did help change a whole lot of how I ate after that. And matter of fact, after that, I had stopped having man-sized portions and having seconds of the same size. I had stopped. That made a difference there. And I've not gone back to that old habit. But I still had a bad problem about eating candy and chips, guzzling soda, and stuff like that. So even though I wasn't having seconds, I was still really indulging when I did eat. And so therefore the weight loss wasn't a significant weight loss, and it wasn't long term. And because I hadn't oh wow, he's like right there. He is so gorgeous. Oh my goodness, he's so gorgeous. Anyway, um, because I hadn't completely changed my way of eating, eventually the weight that I had lost through the Way Down diet, I ended up gaining it right back because my attitude toward food just it wasn't no different. But it's been here of late, just this year, honestly, that I, which in 2018, my eating habit had changed somewhat, and it had even gotten to the point that I really didn't need candy so much. But I had allowed myself to start eating candy excessively all over again. I had allowed myself. Uh, and I did lose a decent amount of weight in 18, 19, but I didn't keep it off. Rich, this is the really sad thing, because like I had really started to get sincere about my eating, and I was doing OMAD, or at least intermittent fasting with the Ray down. I don't know if I'd gone into OMAD yet, but we had went to Kentucky to visit my kids, and he discovered Save a Lot, which is almost like Aldi, almost. And Save a Lot does these bundle bags of candy. And he got me a bundle bag of gummies. I had been doing so well with not eating a whole mess of junk food, a whole mess of candy. Like I would only have maybe a piece or two of a piece of candy with my meal, and that was it. But when he had gotten me that bundle bag of gummies, that was my undoing. And then we came back from visiting my children, and I found myself getting the big packs of the sweet tart ropes and oatmeal cookies, the iced oatmeal cookies, and making homemade mocha frappes every day. Like, I really, and I was getting to the point that I was indulging way too much. And all of this had really started to come back at me. And eventually I'd gone to OMAD before this was really ruined. So I think I did start OMAD before we went and visited my kids. So I was eating one meal a day. And after that, I had started indulging. And I had gone plumb down to 171. It almost seems like 171 is my do or die point because I've gotten down to 171 two other times and, within a 13-year period or so. And because I had gotten back on the habit, every bit of that I gained right back. So I am looking that because the one thing that I had failed to do the entire time, the one single thing that I had failed to do was completely hand it all over to the Lord and ask Him to help me with my eating. That's the one thing that I had failed to do in all the other times. But this year I did. And I am honestly looking for things to be different this time around because I don't have the cravings for the junk food like I used to. And I want to keep on that play because as long as I don't have the cravings for the junk food, I can battle it. I want to at least look like I did. And so, yeah, a bigger change in my appetite and with my eating habits and even a different attitude toward the junk food. Because there is that difference there. And I had noticed this weekend when I had indulged on the jelly beans and the M&Ms, there was something that happened that I never realized before, ever, 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 ever. And I think this is the one thing that when it comes to addicts, whether it be a junk food junkie, a drug addict, or a drunk, One of the things that you never notice when you're in such pleasures as you are, and you stay in those pleasures, just how miserable you feel. And you don't put two and two together. You don't go, well, man, this alcohol makes me feel whatever, or the food even. I had never realized it before. All the acid reflux that I had suffered from was the results of overeating junk food and drinking soda. I knew it had to do with me eating. I knew it had to do with me eating, and I thought it was because I was eating myself stuff. When I had eliminated drinking the soda, that helped a whole lot with acid reflux. I didn't quite have it. But when I would indulge on candy, I would have the acid reflux. And it wasn't hitting me upside the head. Finally, I had gone through a period of not super indulging on any kind of junk food whatsoever. And I was able to go right to bed and turn on my side, no problem. And then I indulged on the jelly beans and the M&Ms on the weekend. And guess what? Very severe acidity. Even even sitting up in bed, it was right there. And I would barely belch, and the pain was miserable. And I actually had to go to the toilet and make myself burp up some of that. And that made a difference. But sure enough, overindulging on that caused me stomach trouble. And that really makes me not want to indulge on it even more because that's miserable. Just sitting on my couch working and an acidic burp will rise and it hurts my throat. It burns. It's bad. And the worst of it is when I would end up having acid reflux and it literally go into my lungs at night. That hurts. That hurts bad. And it takes forever to get it coughed out. And every cough burns the throat because you're getting some more of that out. And even after you no longer have the acid in your lungs, for days you can feel the effects of where the acid had been in your lungs. For days. So that's an even bigger incentive for me not to indulge on junk food like that to keep from suffering from the acid reflux. So these are lessons that I am just learning this year. I had stated before in a couple videos back that I almost nailed it in 1819, but I still didn't quite get the major key. Not quite. If I would have gotten the major key that I have discovered just these last few months this year, I probably would have been able to lose the rest of the weight and keep it off. But with these keys that I have discovered, It's really making a very large difference in my behavior toward food and how I approach it. The saying goes, you cannot out exercise a bad diet. And that's true. You can't. And the more overweight you are, you can try to exercise all you want, but you're wearing yourself out. If you're still eating wrong, or because I'm not saying that you can't lose weight while eating junk foods, you can. But it's how much that you indulge on that can really make that difference of how much you lose, if anything. And that is the one thing I'm learning. Yes, I can have chips. Yes, I can have candy. No, I can't have the whole bag to myself. No, I can't have an entire container of the candy. I can't have two, three, four varieties and eat all four of them to the finish in one night. I am learning these key components. It's always been said to eat everything in moderation, even good foods like vegetables. You can overindulge because you overload on those certain nutrients and minerals that you find in a vegetable or in any food product. Like carrots, you eat too many carrots, you poison yourself with vitamin A and carotene. Even a good thing you can overindulge in. So I am learning the moderation, and the less junk food I eat and have the more wholesome foods, the less I want the junk food. So I'm really glad that the Holy Ghost upped in me to go on ahead and store what I had left, put it up in the pantry. That way I've got it when I need a little bit of sugar. I am very glad. And I'm glad that I didn't make myself any more sick than I was this weekend from the way I had ate that. I don't want to deal with that no more. It's the air, and I can see pollen flying all over the place. We may end up with rain tonight. It kind of looks like it's working up on it, but then again, we might not. But yeah, those are the keys that I have been discovering. I'm still recovering from last week too. The cough is just about pretty well abated. This is a dry cough from talking. But anyway, I think it might would even pay for me to write down the things that I have discovered as well. I'm so sorry, folks. I'm so sorry. I hate it when I get a dry cough like that. I hate that. Anyway, yeah, I may start writing down the different things that I discovered during this journey. But that's one reason why that I'm also heavily documenting this on video so that I could go back and refer to it when I've got questions or when I'm stumbling. I could go back and listen to it again. But I'm really hoping that through all this that I'm learning and that I am practicing, it will become a better habit and I won't necessarily have to go back and refer. but it will be a true habit. That's what I'm really looking for, that it becomes a habit, a good habit. So that is pretty well it and how things are going. So I don't know if I'll make the 200-pound mark by June 1st because there's only like around 3 weeks. If I could get as close as possible, that would be something. And that would really be an achievement. So at least me aiming to do that, maybe I'm not even going to begin to guess a weight. I'm not even going to begin. Just however it turns out, whatever I end up weighing, I will be happy because I know that it is a weight loss, and we'll just take it from there. From June 1st on, we'll take it from there. So anyway, I appreciate you all so much. And thank you for joining me on this live stream. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I hope as time goes by, I end up being an inspiration to somebody who's struggling. And we do this journey together, which would be awesome. Not that we're experts. I'm definitely not an expert. I am learning these keys that I wish I had learned years ago before I got into this situation that I'm fighting now. But now that I am discovering these keys, I am most certainly wanting to continue applying them because they are working. And I just want to be an inspiration to somebody. So as time goes by, all right, I will see you tonight with a conclusion video and how the day went with still shots. And then I'll see you again tomorrow on another live stream. And I love yous. I greatly appreciate yous. Thank you so, so very much for your support. Just you joining me on my live stream is support enough. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I will see you tonight on the conclusion video. And y'all have a great day.